Welcome to the stage, delighted speakers. I'm so excited to have this conversation about future of smart cities. And let me start, Ahmed, with the question to you. As an expert on verification and certification, please share your view how independent verification and certification can build trust for smart cities.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ahmed Samir, and I lead sustainability services across Middle East, Caspian, and Africa for a company called Veritas. We are one of the global leaders in what we call the tech industry, TIC, testing, inspection, and certification. So the topic is super relevant. I think normally this is a topic that most of the cities, planners, consultants normally overlook, which is the last step in actually ensuring the system is very trustworthy. And with trust actually comes the scale. The consumers will actually start trusting the system, and hence you'll find that the adoption of any technology will actually accelerate exponentially. And usually any system that is fragile, it's not really verified and certified, it's very difficult for that system to build trust with the time. Especially we're talking today about technologies that are very new to the consumers. When we talk about smart cities, we talk about Internet of Things, IoT-enabled technologies, sharing of AI-enabled, sharing of data within AI-enabled platforms, which are all new to the end user. So unless we have that piece of verification and trust, it's very difficult to give the comfort to the user to actually adopt it at scale, whether we are talking about individuals or talking about enterprises. So what we do, we come in at that stage. So take, for example, a city that's a smart city. We have cars that are autonomous. We're looking at autonomous cars to be driven in the UAE next year. That's what we heard. We talk about signals, like the light signals that are AI-powered, so you actually don't have to stop in traffic if there's no traffic. You don't have to stop in the signal if there's no traffic. All of this is based on the fact that the data is actually your data is shared between all of these systems. So unless you as a user has that trust in the system, that system is actually secure, because sometimes you might have very personal data, you might have some payment-related data, so you connect with one app to all of your payment gateways, use it with one single card. So you are showing relatively or naturally very sensitive data. So unless you have that verification of the system to ensure the system is actually resilient, secure, which we do that step by doing the verification and certification step to ensure the system, the algorithm, and the gateways where actually you make payments, where you show data are very secure, that would affect or impact the trust in the system on the long term. And again, when we talk about building new cities, it's all about trust. It's all about ensuring that the customer has the confidence in the system and has the confidence in the data privacy that they are sharing with the system overall. So again, it's an overlooked step, but I think it's the last step that makes sure that all the previous steps would actually be fruitful and have the impact that the user will actually need to see from a smart city.
Thank you so much. And how do you think cities can engage citizens to adopt more sustainable behavior?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, we need to understand the policy-making process of any city. So each city has its own way of making policies. Some countries or some cities have the policy-making process top-down. So they actually don't really consult the citizens on what they need in terms of policies, and hence they come up with the policy. It comes from the top, and then they see the feedback, and then they take the feedback loop to improve the policies on the long term. It takes a long time, but that's a process. Some countries adopt it, some cities adopt it. That's one way of policy making. Some other cities, they make it bottom up. So they take actually feedback from the citizens to ensure that if we do this 1, 2, 3, what would be your actually response? Would you like that or not? So they open consultation for some time, and sometimes even some cities have it in a structured approach. So they put a draft of the policy, they let the citizens actually respond to it with feedback, and they take that feedback to make the final policy. So each city has its own way of how they make policies. Again, some cities are federal, they're under a federal government, so they have to wait for the federal government to put the overall strategy, and then they actually put the policy within the framework of the overall strategy. So each city has its own way of what are the boundaries they have to be able to put a policy. But putting all of this aside and assuming that we have the full freedom today as a city or policymakers or urban planners within the city, how can we ensure that citizens are actually encouraged to take more decisions that are sustainability enabled? A few examples. So I think what we have seen, most of you have seen, even you as users, when you see and feel the impact, it's much easier for you to actually take a specific decision versus another decision. When you see that if I fly on, we had the previous session on aviation, if I fly on a plane that's powered by SAF, that might have actually reduced my carbon footprint by X, and that X is not equivalent to any premium or any price increase on the flight, or maybe there's a minor increase. It helps you make a decision, informed decision based on actual data. So when we gamify that impact for the end user, it helps them take an informed decision. That's one. Two, they have to trust the system. So in a lot of cases, we have what we call greenwashing. Companies make claims that this product is actually lower carbon versus the traditional product or the competitive product, but who's actually verifying that claim to give trust to the end user that if I make that purchase, which might be more expensive than the other choice, that will have actually an impact of X, Y, Z. So that verification is actually the responsibility of the policymakers, because it happens within their jurisdiction, to ensure that for any company that's making a claim, it's backed by evidence, and that evidence is publicly available for the end user if they want to go back and see. But the third thing is we always have to make sure when we push people or give them options that are accessible, convenient, and affordable. And take the example of moving to more shared and public transportation modes. Today, we are in a very car-centric society, talking about the UAE. The UAE is actually a study by MIT Energy Initiative. They have something called car pride, which is basically a social score of how people judge each other based on the mode of transportation they use. And they did a ranking of all countries. UAE came in second place. So it's a very societal or social sample of your status within the society. So how can we move people from being very car-centric to be more dependent on public and shared transportation modes, which will dramatically impact the emissions or reduce the emissions from transportation, which is 1/4 of the overall emissions globally. So we need to make public transportation more accessible. So today we have the metro lines in Dubai, but how can you get to the metro? It's a challenge, right? So how you design this from an urban planning point of view and enable public-private partnerships. The government alone will not do every single route for all end users, but how you can create partnerships to enable that last and first mile for people to be more accessible. Two, how you make it more affordable. So today, a lot of people actually have to use the metro because it's what they can afford. But maybe some other people who can use the metro or can use other shared transportation modes, but they're not affordable for them. Affordability is a very important aspect, but also convenient. I think there is a public image of more sustainable modes of transportation that are affordable. They are not very convenient. So how you ensure that while you are designing the solutions, you're designing comfort at the core of it as well. So just to wrap it up, I think transparency from companies, and that's a responsibility from the government as well, making sure that people actually see the impact and feel the impact, and three, making it convenient, affordable, and accessible. People will go with it.
Very interesting. Thank you for insights. And how do you think, what business model enables developers to invest in smart and inclusive urban infrastructure?
Sure. I'll give you some practical examples. So I think 5 years ago, when you talk about sustainability, people think this is a nice to have, and usually even for the companies, it's part of the marketing budget. It's something that makes me look good. But there's a movement, and there's something happened over the last few years that we started to see some sustainable business models that are actually more financially and economically feasible for companies than the alternatives. Today, if companies invest in energy efficiency, we can save 40% of the global emissions by only applying energy efficiency. What does energy efficiency mean? It actually means using the existing technologies, equipment that are more energy efficient to use for our bulbs, light bulbs, for air conditioning. It is the utilization of the existing technology. It's nothing that we have to invent from scratch. It is already there. So imagine the impact of using that existing technology. And what does that actually mean as well? It means lower energy consumption, lower electricity bills, and saving your operational cost. So today we are seeing companies moving to energy efficiency because it does make financial sense for them. Electrification of transportation, another example. 3, 4, 5 years ago, it was only as a pilot to showcase that you have some EVs in your fleet. Companies would buy like 1-2% of the fleet to be electric. But today, in some cases, again, I'm quoting, in some cases, electric vehicles actually make more financial sense for you if you have a fleet versus internal combustion engine vehicles. And when I say this, you have to look always what we call the total cost of ownership, the TCO. You have to compare the overall cost of owning the vehicle, EV versus ICE. The purchase cost of an EV is usually higher, but the operational cost is lower over the lifetime of the car. So when you do that comparison, you're actually making more money. So today there are many cases. Again, these are just 2 examples, but today if you're a company, I think our recommendation is always put a map of all of your areas, your sources of emissions, your sources of operational expenses, and I'm sure if you take each one of them, try to do technology and cost analysis, you'll find many alternatives that are more sustainable, will reduce your emissions, at the same time will make you money over the lifetime of that specific asset. So it does make sense today, and I think it will continue to make sense with the time as well, because technology is evolving day by day as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Very interesting and valuable. Ezer, let me ask, how in Arup your initiatives in sustainable cities, and how do you believe that urban planners can integrate and engage citizen participation in early stage for design of smart cities?
Thanks for the question. It's great to be here with you all. So urban planners, in principle, it's engaging stakeholders, which includes community members, of course, is something they do on a regular basis, because ultimately we're planning cities for the people. So it's critical that we are engaging people in the process. And we typically engage people throughout the sort of preparation of a plan journey for it. So starting with understanding the existing conditions of a city, opportunities and constraints, looking at different spatial scenarios, setting out policies. So at every one of those steps, typically we would have community engagement and stakeholder engagement. And so from my perspective, when we talk about smart cities, first, we see that as an enabler. So digital and smart is here to serve people, ultimately. So from our perspective, it's just another layer that we think about as we plan cities and think about places we want to create, experiences that people would like to have, and ultimately a tool that helps improve people's quality of life, because ultimately that's what development is about, or urban developments. The objective is to improve people's quality of life. And the digital layer, the smart layer, or systems, tools, apps, and different forms of digital essentially are enablers in achieving that objective. So that's one kind of take on it. The other take is we're definitely, as urban planners, using digital technology to engage more people, reach out and tap into maybe community segments that we wouldn't otherwise be able to reach using the traditional methods of engagement, whether it's in person or through representative bodies. Today, lots of people are active online. They have social forums that they engage with each other on. And there are lots of digital tools that you could use to mine that, if you like, sea of interactions within the community and extract insights from what people are talking about, what matters to them. And sometimes those interactions are around specific places in the city, certain activities in the city, certain issues. I mean, it was mentioned earlier, affordability, accessibility, variety of experiences, all these kinds of themes and topics. You could really, through analyzing what's publicly available on social media within a specific city, to get, if you like, a sample of what people are talking about. So that's a tool that we as urban planners didn't have in the past. Another tool is accessing data around people's movement. This is data that telecom companies have, and they could be available for a fee that you pay to them, obviously anonymized data. But then you could, through that anonymized sample of data, understand lots about the community, age groups, origins and destinations, how much time they spend where, and that helps us in understanding better people's behaviors, but also potentially needs. So yeah, I mean, I can keep going on, but these are just examples of how we're using digital and how we see digital in the urban planning space.
And how do you balance digital technologies, new digital technologies, with human-focused design to keep cities livable and inclusive?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't see any conflict at all. It's just about that clarity of understanding that we're not designing for digital, we're using digital to design for people, right? It's as simple as that. Well, I mean, to me, it's simple. I don't know if everybody agrees, but really, we're not designing smart cities for the sake of the cities to be smart, if you know what I mean. We're designing cities to be smart so they serve us, the people, better, make our lives easier, make our experiences more engaging, help us, I don't know, get our, daily chores done in a more convenient way. And in a way, I don't know how many of us have ever, or have recently been to, a bank to do any transaction, or to, to Diwa to pay the bill, or, we're not moving around doing these things that we had in the past to do in person. All that time of travel, waiting in line, all to get these things processed for us. We do them now, through an app on our phone. That's, for me, smart city in action, making something that in the past was a chore for me, took time and an effort, makes it very, very easy to do and gives me back more time to enjoy my time with my family, for example. So yeah, human-centric for us is, again, as urban planner, our object, if you like, or objective is people, the object is the city. So the objective is to make sure those cities are serving people the best they can to improve their quality of life. And digital is a tool, one of the tools that we use to achieve that objective.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really excited about this, how it's going to be implemented. And Shri, I have a question. How do you believe that citizen engagement can shape sustainable and inclusive smart ecosystem?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Saiteja. I'm a founder of Cero. Usually panels after lunch are very difficult, to convey our message to the audience, but I'll try my best today. How citizens, motivate or help towards the sustainability and smart cities. I'll start with an example. Like today we are measuring our net worth, maybe in GDP or our bank balance or assets. How many of you really feel you all are rich in terms of natural capital? Amazing. At least I found one. I didn't expect even one, sorry. So we are all poor in terms of natural assets. We don't have any natural assets. Maybe we might own a villa, we might own some shares or bitcoins, etc. But in terms of natural, we're all poor here, which means that we came out of that. And that is why I'm talking about natural capital is why we came to this situation today. The last few centuries, every innovation has one thing in a center, that is convenience, just convenience. We destroyed planet just for our convenience, simple agenda. Maybe I don't know, we knew at that point of time or not, but yes, now we knew that thanks to Paris Agreement, now the innovation started taking sustainability also into the core centric, not just a compliance, economics, and sustainability. These three are now a core. It has become mandatory for any innovation to be a sustainable innovation, right? We did an interesting research in Finland, and because we are based out of Finland, and even in Dubai, we found that 95% of individuals doesn't know about their carbon footprint and kind of a damage that we all do to the planet with our day-to-day actions. And then we were shocked with the result, and we went to Aalto University because we found there are a lot of our PhD students there. We sat with them. See, this data is really concerning. They told, we are facing same problem inside Aalto University. We are unable to motivate students to become a long-term sustainable citizens. Maybe a day they're okay, maybe a planet week, they're okay, but it's not continuing after that. Then we decided, okay, we need to work on something on these metrics. That's where, to come back to the question, how individuals will really help. They don't have a tools to measure their own emissions. They don't have a metrics to continue their journey, and they don't have a reward. We reward big organizations. What is the reward that individuals get? That is an immediate metric, right? Reward doesn't need to be a monetary. It can be any form of recognition by authorities or something. Some sort of ID, they didn't have this. So we did a piloting with a university here in Dubai. We tried to implement this, our findings here in a university. So it was, the result was amazing, where we motivated students to take a small action. It can be very small action every day. It can just be saving a paper, starting with, or you can do a green commute, or even be a vegan for a day, something like that. In a long term, it is showing an amazing result, because we implemented an ID for that. Every action is recorded in that ID, and that continues with them, that travels with them like a CV. Now they have a record that every action is recorded, and they can use it as like Emirates ID. That result was amazing. So people are really interested, and this motivated university to take, to invest more into sustainable infrastructure. They're spending a lot now, because the students are also interested, the citizens are interested, they are noticing all the emissions, and it is also giving a real-time savings for them in terms of energy consumption and all this. So if citizens are really interested, I think governments will also come forward. As it is rightly said by one of the world leaders, it's not always governments or big corporates. You can also do a small activity, multiplied by millions. It can become a huge movement. It's all in our hands too, but it's up to us to what extent we can take it forward.
Thank you. And what actually drives meaningful behavioral change in cities? How we can scale it?
We, as an individual, as a citizen, I'm talking about, we don't have tools to bridge our intentions. We all love to be eco-friendly individuals, but how? I have an intention to be a very sustainable citizen. How can I do that, right? My intention is clear, but I don't have a tool. It is not converting into actions. So there should be a platform or a system that can help me to, as you rightly said, convenience. Convenience is very important, and affordability too. My intentions has to be converted into actions. We worked on this particular agenda with Mall of Tripla, which is the biggest mall in Nordics, which is in the center of Helsinki city. They wanted to motivate all their mall visitors to come by a metro, not by cars. Because it was huge congestion, like how we have it in Dubai Mall, the same way. So we started giving perks to them if they're traveling through metro, especially if they're coming by metro, where they can just end their ride in Mall of Tripla. They'll get immediate access to some free coffee, or meal, or some sort of reward, and it started showing huge response. People started coming by trains to the mall. So we should facilitate something like that, which will help their intentions to convert into actions.
Interesting. Thank you so much. It's insightful. And moving forward, so what actually inclusivity means in context of smart cities? Yeah.
I think we touched on this at the beginning as well. We are redesigning cities. So smart cities have to be either new cities that are getting built from scratch or redesign the existing cities. And it will be a little bit funny or a shame, actually, that we redesign them and we still exclude specific groups of people. So I think at the core of a smart city, it should be all-inclusive. When we say inclusive, it has to be regardless of the age, of the disability, of your income as well. And I think a lot of times we tend to think technology is explicitly exclusive for a specific group of people. In many cases, it's a result of wrong design. So without pointing fingers, so you might have the most advanced public transport network, but that public transport network ended in what we call social exclusion. So you go into the metro and you'll find a very specific type of income category using that public transport mode. It is successful in a way, but it's really enabling that social exclusion with the time. And what will happen is you will find some neighborhoods that are actually only livable, or you can predict actually the type of people living in that specific neighborhood. So somehow you are creating these islands between the different categories of people based on the income, sometimes even based on nationalities. And that with the time actually does not have a positive impact on the nature of the society. So you don't have that cohesion between the different cultures. You don't have that interactions between people within different incomes. And the young generation will actually feel this big time. And we started to see this in some cities. Young generation have no idea about what other people, and actually not even in other countries in the same city, live, or what's the lifestyle looks like. Again, it all started from a very simple thing, which would have been considered in the design stage of that public transport network, or how can we make sure that city, and even like some cities, they started to enforce. I lived 2 years in Berlin. So Berlin, one of the things they do is actually, in the design of a specific neighborhood, they want to make sure that there's high-rise buildings, there's also some small buildings, and it's according to the income of different categories within the society. So that will create a very healthy society. So you don't get people who are very disconnected from the reality of the big picture of the society. So again, some of these big societal issues start with a very simple thing, which is making sure that it is inclusive in the design stage.
If I may add, I think from planning perspective, one of the key words I like at least to use, and lots others do, in relation to inclusivity is choices. Offering people choices, and that's in a way what was described. When you create places, you create diversity of choices. That then caters for different groups of the community. We're not in a position to tell people where to live or how to live or who to mix with if they choose not to, right? That's not our job. It's not our job to tell people how to live. Our job is to give them the choices. Because if I don't have the choice, then in a way you're telling me what to do. Because you're not giving me any choices. I have to drive my car because I don't have any other alternative. So in a way, you're dictating what I should do. So whereas when you think about it from choices perspective and say, you have the choice to drive the car, you have the choice to get on the bus, you have the choice to get on a metro, and I don't know, walk, take a very wide range of choices. That take into account affordability, accessibility for people with different needs, age groups, and all the rest of it, then the result will be inclusive, because there is something for everybody, and people get to choose. So that's how I see inclusivity, and that's how we try to embed it in city plans and community developments. And that's partly where, I mean, you must have heard before when we talk about sustainable development, we talk about mixed-use areas, we talk about variation in housing unit typologies, we talk about variety of F&B offering activities and so on. Again, all these variations offer people choices, and therefore they become more inclusive places, and you find different kinds of people in that place. So that's another kind of angle to look at the inclusivity.
It's actually all simplifying the fact and the importance of integrating and engaging citizens in the early stage to design smart cities. So I fully agree, and I think we're running out of time, and I have one question to you, probably one we pick up from the audience. So what is actually, which best KPI measures citizen engagement and impact?
So I'll take it. I mean, as a lot of corporates, when you go to a reporting standards, there is a lot of metrics for reporting for a corporates or a big organizations. But when it comes to individuals, there is no mechanism such so far. Now, how do you take the key metrics or KPIs for individuals? I mean, so far there is no mechanism of coming from bottom to top. That's where we were working with GHG protocol as well to bring that metrics into the circulation. That's where we moved to Finland and working with the Finnish government. How do we create a metrics for our citizens of Finland to start with, pilot with, to measure their sustainability actions? And I mean, now we are doing the same with an ID which measures every positive action and records onto that ID. And that's, I'll not call it as a 100% solution, but it's a good start where you get a sustainable citizenship ID to say that you are a sustainable citizen and all your actions are recorded, positive actions are recorded there. And I think that will be a good start. To my knowledge, in my knowledge, I can think of this. But yeah, there might be a bigger area where we can really see KPIs, because the biggest challenge that we found was sustainability was changing country to country. UAE has different sustainability standards. Yes, SDG goals are same, but achievements like Finland has different parameters, India has different parameters. So we couldn't come to one point of conclusion when it comes to individuals. You can't say, go to Finland and ask them not to eat meat, because it's a coldest country and they need to survive on that. You can't go to India and do the way around. It changes. One model doesn't work for global audience, so it has to be a country to country or geographical specific. So yeah, for now, the IDs, that's something that we are working on, which works on a Web3 and completely decentralized, and that takes the KPIs of individual sustainable behaviors.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And if you have one question from the audience.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's amazing to see the building of smart cities and everything. So I have a very quick question, and it's very easy to all of you three guys. You talk more about human beings in how easier a smart city should be. So my question is how you think about other living beings which are also related with the sustainability and plus points for human beings. Say like creatures, birds, or trees, or water, beaches, which is a part of it. So I never heard anything on that.
So just to confirm, you're asking about how we take into account nature when we look at...
Nature and other living beings.
Okay,
So when you talk, smart cities, my question is only focusing on human citizens, human beings, or also they have to, because you say building sustainable. So sustainable not only comes only when you take care of human beings, it also takes care more with other things, which are living beings and creatures, because how wellness you are, that good you are, right?
Yes.
And all that comes from the nature as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, today's topic isn't about in nature, but I fully understand.
Connect this with sustainable.
Yeah, no, I
smart.
get.
And well-being, you know.
So maybe I'll add to this. It's a good question, sir. I mean, after a long time, last month I was sitting in some open corridor and I realized that animals doesn't need to buy clothing like me, and it doesn't need to travel on a car, luxury car. I mean, they're mostly sustainable. I mean, just to add to that, inclusivity.
I'm not talking on that, what their behaviors. There are certain areas or there are certain institutes which take care for them about their health and everything. But in terms of building the smart cities, so when you talk on that, is it relevant or not? That's my question. Because when you say smart cities, building sustainable, so when you have sustainable, you have leisure areas, you have forests, you have birds, you are taking care. So all these things are also important for human behavioral. That's how they become smart.
I'll give you an example of a city called Auroville. I've been there last month, which is in south part of India. It recognized by UN, United Nations. It's a smart city, a complete city with complete animals inside the city. They created a whole ecosystem, which is almost 50 years now. From 50 years, that city is still running. I didn't knew about that. Recently, I came to know. The co-living, there is a co-living between nature and all kind of small birds and animals there. I'm not talking about a big tiger and a lion kind of a thing, but mostly, maybe in today's world, it is not possible to bring animals to Dubai or something, you know.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time. I don't know if organizers let us carry the conversation a little bit more. One more minute. We have 1 more minute from organizers.
I was just trying to, Dr. Salam Sharif, I was just trying to comment on this very important question, which seems to be a little bit unthoughtable. Now, in my belief that if we take care of mankind behavior, the nature will take care of itself by default, because mankind is the Almighty's successor on earth. We were brought down to earth after nature was in perfect equilibrium. Plants, species, you name it. When mankind landed on earth is when he started abusing the nature resources and causing that vacuum of this equilibrium. So if we take care of mankind behavior by education, by bringing the behavior into the natural equilibrium, the whole rest of the world doesn't need to be fixed. It is we who need to be fixed. So with that, I think the message is loud and clear. Thank you.
This is a great message. Thank you so much for this. I totally with you, and I fully support this nature collaboration with the humans. Thank you, dear speakers. It was a delighted dialogue. Thank you.